Donkey Kong Country is a curious franchise. Though it originated from the Mario universe, it has carved out its own unique identity, with a distinct feel shaped by being developed outside of Japan. When it first came out on the Super Nintendo, created by British developer Rare, not only did it come with a more jazzy and moody presentation, it also wasn't so much about wacky power-ups and trippy level mechanics, but focused on a tough platforming challenge. The Super Mario games would become ever less demanding over time to appeal to supposed casual players, which is fine and all, but thankfully the reboot of Donkey Kong Country by the American Retro Studios stayed true to its roots, making it stand on its own to this day. Both Donkey Kong Country Returns on Wii and the sequel Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze on Wii U sent the iconic ape through remorseless obstacle courses within exotic backdrops, where a rolling maneuver is your most important tool. The reboot brought a brighter, more colorful aesthetic, whereas the originals had a more somber tone by Nintendo standards. I won't lie, I prefer the old mood. But the new games shined with more dynamic set pieces and an emphasis on action elements, such as crumbling caves or exploding platforms. No level feels the same because of this constant activity in the backgrounds, which creates unique obstacles within the stages themselves. So this seems like a good opportunity to give a small shout out to the 3DS port of Returns, as a rare fan of the stereoscopic 3D on that machine, because with its distinct background layers it was ironically a perfect fit for it. It's obviously impossible to demonstrate this here, but it truly feels like gaping into a 3D cartoon jungle. Anyway, both Returns and Tropical Freeze were ported to the Switch later, but it would be tough to name the superior game. If nothing else, Returns is certainly superior to its original Wii version, which still came with awkward waggle controls. But while many consider Tropical Freeze the clear winner, there are valid arguments for both games actually. Since Returns was a reboot of the first Super Nintendo game, it had a smaller room for developing its own identity. While stylistically very different from the old Rare efforts, Returns still followed the same backdrop themes, from jungles to factories in the same order, and more importantly, it relied on cover songs and remixes instead of creating a wholly unique soundtrack, despite the music being a big appeal of the series. Whereas Tropical Freeze featured entirely new worlds, mostly freed from the shackles of nostalgic throwbacks. This also made for a bunch of new level mechanics because, as already said, the backdrops correlate with the obstacles in each parkour. So in one world, for example, the stages go through different parts of an orchard to a candy production, while all the mechanical tools on the way create different level dynamics. On top of that, it featured a brand new soundtrack by old series composer David Wise, which wasn't just a rehash, but had its own spin on the old musical style of the franchise. Also, the Switch version of Returns might have gotten a new fur effect for Donkey and Diddy Kong, but the base game was still built for an underpowered SD console. So the art direction of Tropical Freeze comes with more detail and a much more striking color composition. On the other hand, Donkey Kong Country Returns might have the more engaging level design from a gameplay perspective, in my opinion. Tropical Freeze has a smaller amount of worlds, but tries to compensate with increased level length, which makes for more sprawling set pieces with an often higher amount of unique elements, but also less focused level design as a result. In DKC Returns, there might be a single stage focused entirely on a short set of spiraling platforms, which doesn't take more than a couple of minutes to beat before moving on to an entirely different stage. Tropical Freeze comes with longer parkours, which sometimes also have a slower pace overall. For example, the game often stretches a level with slow swimming sections, which were supposed to be a unique selling point. Maybe the biggest offender were the boss fights, already a weaker part of the first game. Instead of making the enemy patterns more engaging, the sequel only made them longer, with even more tedious animations and waiting times between each phase, creating excruciatingly slow battles. Then there was new secret exits, which at one point make you replay a single level multiple times with different sidekicks. These are all small things which don't break the game, but I'm just saying that Returns had a faster and less interruptive flow, which I favor on a gameplay level. Yet at the same time, I much prefer the audiovisual direction of Tropical Freeze. So frankly, if you took the best parts of each game, you might get the ultimate Donkey Kong adventure. However, deciding on which one's the best on its own might come down to your personal mood that day.